Good morning and welcome to another edition of Inspiring Life Journeys. Today we have an awesome guest, Ken Walls, who I'm going to be bringing on in a few minutes. He's an entrepreneur, he's so much more, and I will talk about him in a couple of minutes. But before we get started, I just want to give you a little bit of an intro of what our show is and what we're all about. Hi, Ken. Welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Shanta. It's great to be here.
Oh, great. Thanks. We've known each other for a while, but I introduced you as a CEO, an entrepreneur, best-selling author, a tech expert, and you've got some amazing things going on in your life and your shows and different things.
Yeah.
But you're so much more than that. And I really wanted to have introduced you to all our viewers. And, for me, I think a life is a journey, just like travel, and you go through so many different phases in your life, and it molds you and makes you who you are. So I'd like to talk to you with a little bit about, your journey in life. What has shaped you and molded you from the time you were young? And I like to really break it up into little pieces.
Yeah.
So
I was, I was born in a very tiny little resort town in Northwest Ohio on a lake where, most of the year in Ohio, it's cold. And so we didn't have a lot of people in this little town until the summers when people would flock to the lake. And I grew up in a very, very troubled home, lots of alcohol and unfortunately drugs and all kinds of craziness going on in the house I grew up in. And so as a young child, I learned to fend for myself. I learned to go out and work and hustle and make money and I was always typical things, hearing money doesn't grow on trees, we can't afford it, no, you can't have that, and et cetera, et cetera. So I grew up in a very tumultuous environment, and a lot of insanity, physical abuse, and all kinds of stuff that happened. And so, I'm not sad about it today. Today I look at it and I'm grateful that it happened because it made me who I am today. It made me be able to relate to people who've been through it. And, so I was always friends with like everybody, like in school. Like I was friends with the hoodlums. I smoked in the boys' room with them, and I played basketball at lunch with the jocks, and I was in some sports, not really a lot. And but in 12th grade, they called me in, the guidance counselor, and he says, you didn't get a biology credit in 10th grade. And I said, yeah, I hated that class. It sucked. I don't see the point in dissecting frogs ever again. So, and he says, well, you need that credit to graduate from high school. And I said, well, that's stupid. Why? Where am I going to use that in life? And he said, it doesn't matter. You have to have that credit to graduate. And I said, well, hold on. I've aced trigonometry, analytic geometry, calculus, advanced algebra, A's in all those classes. And you're telling me that biology is what's going to, and so, I argued back and forth for a little bit. Eventually they said either come back for a whole year and take biology or you don't graduate. And I said, well, that's really stupid. I quit. I'm out of here. And once I realized that I had to come back for an entire year to get a biology credit, I was like, we're done. I'm done. So I walked out and I never went back. I never got a GED because I felt like that was an admission of failure. I didn't go to college. Instead, I went to work building cars at the Honda factory right out of high school. And I did that for about 2.5 years, and there was not a window. You couldn't see outside when you were working. Like it was god awful. And
Mhm.
and I was like, this is terrible. Even though I made unbelievable money, that was 30 some years ago, 34 years ago, maybe. Um, and I was making 45, 50,000 plus a year back then at 18, 19 years old, which is unbelievable for that time. I mean, that's like
Mhm.
20,000 or so now, right?
Right. Mhm.
And so one day somebody said something to me after I injured myself on the job. Somebody, a manager said, quit whining and get back to work. And I was like, what am I doing? This is horrible. Like, and you're a horrible human being, the guy that said that. And I'm like, I'm out of here. So I clocked out at lunch and I never went back. And I'll never forget going home and my ex-wife said, "What are you doing home?" And I said, "Oh, I quit that job. That was horrible." And she lost it, started crying, and she was really upset. And I said, "I'm going to get into sales." And so I got into sales, and it took about 30 or maybe 60 days. And I realized that I had absolutely no business being in sales. I did not know what I was doing. And so I started, what was that? About 20, 21 years old, somewhere in there. And
Mhm.
I'm like, you're an idiot. You don't know anything about what you're doing. You've got to learn this stuff. And so I started, I went on a journey. I mean, I really went on a journey. That's kind of the theme of your show.
Yeah.
Uh, and I went on a journey of learning and exploration by buying every single book I could by Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy and all of the legendary sales trainers, Tony Robbins, all of these people. I was like, how did these people get to where they are? And I became extremely curious, and I was buying every course I could buy. I was getting everything I could, ingesting every single thing I could, because I had this burning desire deep down in my soul to be wealthy. I had
Mhm.
this burning desire deep down in my soul to never have to work for somebody again if I didn't want to. I had this burning desire to make a splash in the world. And I found it through reading books. I mean, I really did, and listening to, back then, cassette tapes, and
Yeah.
then it turned
Mhm.
into CDs, and which I don't even own any cassette tapes or CDs anymore, which is crazy. But I just went on a journey learning this stuff, and I see, by the time I was 27, 28 years old, I had a very, very large company making almost $1 million a year in income. And I remember, I used to do these sales meetings and interview salespeople and hire people, and by the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And
Mhm.
I would get these college graduates in for interviews, and I would interview these guys and gals for a sales position or whatever. And I just remember thinking, why do you feel like just because you have a college degree, you're qualified to do this? And I would
Mhm.
hire people, and it seemed like the people who had been punched hardest in the face in life, those were the ones that excelled the most. It had nothing to do with a college degree. Now, fast forward to about a year or so ago, um, I had one of my heroes, my biggest hero in selling, um, to date, is Brian Tracy. He saved my life. He changed the trajectory of my life, and I had him on my show recently. And
Mhm.
and it changed everything when I started listening to his psychology of success, the psychology of selling. And then to have him on my show was like, wow, it was so huge. But anyway, so that's that, I really excelled in life, but way back then, just because I didn't give a crap about what other people thought. I really didn't. Like, I just like, I think too many people care too much about that.
Yeah, yeah. And Ken, I know through the stories that you've said of your life, there's been a pattern of what you want and you go for it. You
Yeah.
don't, there are a lot of times when people get stuck in a job, as they say, or, when they're doing something, they
Hmm.
realize that, but then they don't take the steps to overcome that and do that. So I love that and you're a continuous learner. In the short period of time that I've known you, you're always looking and learning and sharing things that you've learned.
Yeah.
Uh, that's why you're an expert in so many things. And you've been in, we'll talk about your show in a little later.
Yeah.
Uh, but going back to your growing up years, what is one thing that you would tell somebody, or maybe a couple of things that you would tell someone who's really stuck in the rut of the daily grind, but they know in their heart that that's not what they want to do?
Um, Here's what I would say: you're going to die. You're going to die. It's the bottom line.
Hmm.
I think that the human spirit is is it's been around forever. I believe that our soul has been around forever. And I believe that it's attached to the ego, and the ego does not realize that this has an expiration date. This sack of skin that I'm walking around in is going to die. Now, my soul will live forever, but my sack of skin is going to be gone.
Hmm.
And so I think what happens is, people live like they're going to live forever, and they think, well, I'm just going to stick with this job that I hate, until until something magical, the job fairy shows up, and something magical occurs, and I no longer have to be a part of this. And that's just not the case. The
Hmm.
fact of the matter is, if you don't stomp on the gas. Grant Cardone said to me one time, I was going through some really bad stuff, and he's a friend of mine and a mentor of mine. And he said to me one time, he called me, and we were talking about some bad apples I had in my company. And he's like, you got to get rid of them. I'm like, what? And he's like, get rid of them, cut them loose. And I'm like, dude, they play a pretty important roles in my company. And he goes, that's all right, get rid of them. You can replace them, get rid of them. And and when I finally they were gone, he called me and congratulated me. And I said, why are you like, dude, I'm down to one employee. It's hitting
Hmm.
the fan right now. What are you talking about? Congratulations. He's like, you know what my mom used to say? When you're going through hell, stomp on the gas. And I think that again, I encourage people. Why would you work? I've never understood this. I haven't. I've done it where I stayed too long, but why would you stay in anything that makes you miserable all the time? Why? I mean, I don't get that. If you're working in a job, and which is an acronym for just over broke, if you're working in a job that you hate, what? this is your only shot here. I don't know if we get any other lives. You know, there are religions around the world that believe in reincarnation, that we get to come back, and but I don't remember any of those other lives. If that's true, I don't remember that, and I'm not aware of a future life. The only one I'm constantly aware of is the one I'm living right now. And so, in my opinion, you get one shot, you get one opportunity to make a difference in the world, to leave a legacy worth leaving. You're going to leave a legacy. Everybody leaves a legacy, right? But is it a legacy that you really truly were sent here to leave? What is your purpose? What brings you unbelievable joy and happiness? And then follow that. Follow it and take massive, massive action. This book that I'm reading right now by my buddy Eric Sorensen called Commit First. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable book. And it's all about committing to something, like not 99% either. 100% going all in on something. I don't care. Like I remember when I first started my business, I was sitting in a friend's office that is a multimillionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "How's business?" I said, "It's not good. I'm not making any money. It's bad. I'm broke. I'm so poor I can't pay attention. Like I don't know what to do." And he's like, "Dude, let me tell you something. There's a guy, and I won't swear on your show because he swore when he said this,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll clean it up. He said there's a guy here in Columbus, Ohio, that goes around picking up dog crap out of people's yards that makes over $1 million a year.
Wow.
And you're telling me you can't make money? If there's a guy out there making over $1 million a year picking up dog crap and you're not making any money, you need to take a look in the mirror. Like, you really need to take a look in the mirror and figure out what your problem is, because you can make money doing anything. And if you're passionate enough about something, maybe it's quilting, maybe it's that, I don't know what it could be. Maybe it's cooking, maybe it's whatever it is. You can make money at anything, if you just take your passion and turn it into a company, or doing for others or whatever. I mean, you can make money at it,
Yeah. Yeah. And
including
just
picking up dog
I
poop.
know. I never knew that you could do that and make that much. Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, you just have to take your passion and go with it and find the right people and the right tools you need to
Yeah.
use that. And I think Ken, you are the expert in the tech expert, like you said, and you've brought out so many different things which are really incredible. And you've shared those, and what I like about it is you go through those, you experience those yourself, and you see how it works, and so that makes you really the expert because you've done it, learned it, and really know about it. And one of the things that you have, which we will talk about, is your biz card. And we'll share the biz card thing with there. But can you tell me what prompted you to start that? Because there are so many different things, but yours is unique.
Yeah, what prompted me, I'm trying to share. There we go. Trying to share this out on my, but it's shared to friends only on yours. So
Oh, I thought I changed that. Oh,
this, and no, I'll show you after we're
okay.
done. There's a setting in Facebook you have to fix.
Okay.
Um,
Got it.
but I just saw, as a matter of fact, that people are commenting, and Jose is commenting. And the reason you can't see that is because it's shared to friends only. But anyway, so the reason that I created the digital business card, that I reinvented it. Um, there's thousands of other companies doing digital business cards and these traditional business cards. Here's the thing: a traditional business card, if you hand it to somebody, why do you hand it to them? You hope that they're going to call you someday, right? And what happens to those most of the time is they end up in a desk drawer, or more likely to be end up in a trash can at some point, right? So you're literally paying money to have business cards created to hand out to people so they can throw it away, and that makes you feel justified in your life, I guess, by handing out business cards that end up in the trash. And then there's digital business cards where you can, go to somebody's digital business card and save it to your phone, and then you have a new contact in your phone. The problem with that is you're having a conversation at a conference filled with hundreds of people, or even 30 people, and you go, oh, I was talking to that really interesting woman the other night about travel. What was her name? Daggone it. I know it's in my phone. I just don't know where. What was her name? Because the average person has 10 to 20,000 contacts in their phone, right? Even if you only have 1,000, having somebody's new name in there is going to be a challenge to find if you don't remember it. So I remember, I was frustrated. I was paying this other company monthly for a digital business card that didn't work most of the time. And I went, you know what? I can't take this. I asked somebody to go to Ken's Biz Card on a Zoom meeting, and she went to it, and she's like, "What's this other website? I don't see you anywhere." And I'm like, "Oh my God." It was like after 5.5 years of this happening over and over and over, I said, "That's enough. Enough is enough." And I went and I sat down. I'm like, dude, you've been in technology for almost 30 years. You can create your own. This is insane. So I sat down, made a list of everything I wanted because that was the other thing. The digital business card I had, it was never exactly everything that I wanted. There were things I wanted they couldn't do because they had limitations. And I'm like, okay, if I was able to remove all the limitations and make this the absolute perfect digital business card, what would I include? And I went through and I made this thing up. And what's happened, Shanta, is it's now like mine has a form on it. If anybody watching goes to kensbizcard.com on your phone, and you scroll down to just a little bit to where it says shoot me a text, it's going to shoot me a text message when you fill out that form. And then what it does is it's automatically going to shoot you a text message back with a link to my free ebook, which is a very, very, very popular ebook, considering that it's in Jeffrey Gitomer's book called Go Live. It's the longest chapter 3 in that book. So, I made this digital business card everything that all the others aren't. And I included a CRM system with it. So it is phenomenal. It's not only a CRM system, it's the number one CRM system in the world. It has text message marketing built into it, email marketing built into it, automations that you can automate just about everything. It has pipelines. It has unlimited funnel builders and website builders and membership sites and all these things that comes with my digital business card. It's all included in this thing. And right now it's $797 plus 3 months free of the CRM. And then it's $97 a month after that. But I am telling you, it's blown up, because when I created this, it wasn't for other people. I made it for me. And then I showed it to a couple of people. They were like, dude, I want that. And so you have one, right?
I do
Yeah.
have one.
Yeah. I
And
mean, it's incredible.
it is, when I show it to people, it says, wow, and it's got so much of information and all important information that you can put there. It's just a beautiful setup.
And it's custom.
Mhm.
Everything about it is customized. All the graphics, they're all customized to meet each individual person's brand, colors and images and everything. it's just phenomenal, and it's exploding, and it's actually people all over the world are asking me about it now. So it's crazy. I absolutely love it, and everybody that I've done one for loves it. You love yours,
Yeah.
don't you?
I do have mine. I do have mine right
Yeah,
on my phone.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
crazy.
it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. I don't know if that sounded like a sales pitch. It wasn't.
No,
It's a phenomenal system.
it is. And that's just one piece of the tech expert that you are. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that you anything that comes out, you're a continuous learner. I think that's what I love about you, Ken. Continuously learning and reading,
Yeah.
and that's just you.
Well, I've seen, you know, um, there's a saying, and I think it was Mark Twain that said, a person who doesn't read is no better than a person who can't read.
Wow.
And I've dealt with the idiots of the world who think they know everything but haven't read a book since they were in middle school. And we all know people like that act like they know everything, but they don't know anything because they haven't read anything. They're not learning. And that's the thing. This gray matter up here in between our ears, it grows dormant. It starts dying on you if you don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not interested in that. I want it to grow. I want to expand. I want to help as many people as I can, and I'm not going to do that with my own knowledge.
Yeah, so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we jumped a little bit into your biz card because I wanted to talk about the tech expert that's in you. But we were talking about you when you were in your job. What prompted you to start your own business and your all the things that you have within that model of your business?
um Pain.
Mm,
Pain. I can't. I'm unemployable. I can't work for somebody else. And the pain associated with working for somebody else, I couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't do
mm,
it anymore. And so um I said, Enough's enough," and I started my own business. And I mean, the last job I had, I made, I don't know, 180,000 a year, and I walked away from it. Well, I was forced away from it. I got fired. And it's because I'm unemployable. I'm not I when you're a real entrepreneur, there's a chance that you've been in trouble in your jobs in the past, because you just see things differently than a lot of people. And
mhm,
it doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm right. I could be absolutely wrong, but um, for me, I'm right.
mhm.
You know, and it's worked
So what
out.
was yeah, it has. What was it in the early years of your business growth?
It was I don't I mean it was a struggle. It was a struggle. And you want to know the craziest part, Shanta? The
Hmm.
the the craziest part is the struggle was all in there. Was all in my head. The struggle was um not eh, the struggle was not as necessary as I thought it was. I think a lot of people go into business thinking, oh, this is going to be hard for the first 10 years. I mean, you do have to grind it out. You have to figure things out. I was up until 3:30 in the morning last night working on a rebuild of some stuff and video content and editing and all of these things, these projects I've got going. And I was back up and at 'em on 5 hours sleep. So, nothing, when you really want to be success, there's a story that, Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, he's awesome. He talks about, um, this story, and he's repeating the story from somebody he heard it from, but it's basically this guy says, he goes to a mentor and he says, I really want success in my life. And the mentor says, how bad do you want it? He said, I want it more than I want anything. And he's like, all right, fine. Meet me at 6 o'clock in the morning at the ocean. They live near the ocean. Meet me down at the beach. Meet me there at 6 a.m. And guy's like, okay. And so he meets him down there at 6 a.m., dressed in workout gear, ready to go, finds the guy dressed in a business suit. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm ready for the day. You're here to play. And he's like, no, no, no. And he says, follow me out into the water. The guy goes walking out into the water in his suit. He comes walking out, and he goes, keep coming, and he takes him way out to where the water's all the way up to his neck. And the guy in the suit reaches over and grabs him by the back of the neck and shoves his head underwater and holds him there underwater. The guy's flopping his arms and struggling and trying to get up, fighting for his life. And finally the guy lets him up, and he's like, takes a deep breath, and the guy says, how bad did you want to breathe when you were under that water? And and the guy's like, I wanted to breathe more than anything. He's like, how bad did you want to live? And he's like, yes, I wanted to live. And he said, when you want success as bad as you want to live, the feeling you felt when you were under that water, when you have that feeling about success, then you'll have it. Then you'll have it. And until then, you're always going to struggle. Until then, you will always struggle. And I'll never forget hearing that story, because that's how bad I want success. That's how bad I want other people to have success that I talk with on a daily basis. I want people to win. And the more you want other people to win, the more you're going to win. The more you help other people win, the more you're going to win. It's like creating this show. I teach this stuff. I teach people, like, dude, start a podcast, man. Start a podcast. Start getting people on. Help them get their message out. Get them more attention. If you get them more attention, you're going to get more attention. Help them get more success, and you'll have more success.
So true. Yeah. Yeah, that was a powerful story. Yeah, that's going to stick with me now too. It's how bad do you want that, right? And what do you take doing to want to make that happen?
Yeah. How bad do you want to breathe?
Mm.
How
Mhm.
bad do you want to breathe? When you want success as badly as you want to breathe, when you want to achieve that goal, that you have a mission. Your mission is to help people travel the world. Your mission is to help people save money while they're traveling. Help people, and it might be a trip up to Montana or something, but you
Mhm.
want to help people, like, optimize that time, optimize that experience, and optimize their expenditures. That's what you do. That's your mission, right?
Right. Hmm.
And if you believe in your mission and you believe in your ability to actually help those people, then you'll want success as bad as you want to breathe. If you don't believe in it, you're never going to make it.
Powerful. Powerful, Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you talked about helping people, and that you lift others as you climb,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So one of the things which I'm really amazed at how committed you are to your show.
Yeah.
Tell our reader, tell our listeners about, I love the story of how you started the show and how you've been consistent, come what may, to make it happen. And that's something that we all can learn from.
Yeah.
Uh, so just tell us a little bit about your show, how it got started, where you are, and the amazing people that you've had, uh, and
Yeah.
how everybody can get on to listening to your show as well.
Well, so it's called Breakthrough Walls, but back in 2000 and, 17, 18, I was literally starting my life over again. Not completely, but close to it. I had made a bad business decision and got involved with somebody in business I shouldn't have. Long story short, I started back at zero.
Mm.
And I was like, I gotta rebuild now. What do I do? What, I don't know what to do. Do I go out and knock on doors again? I've done that thousands of times. Do I start making phone calls and cold calls? And like, how do I do this? And I told my wife, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a show, a podcast, a show. And she goes, okay. I said, that'll get us attention and I'll be able to help others get attention along the way. She said, great. What are you going to call it? I said, I think I'm going to call it Getting Unstuck. And she goes, that's great. Why don't you use your last name and call it Breakthrough Walls? I said, oh, that's a way better idea. And so it's called Breakthrough Walls.
Okay.
And right.
Yeah.
And so that was over 5 years ago. And it was over 500 episodes ago. I've now interviewed 510 or 511 um, celebrities and entrepreneurs. And along the way, I've been able to establish some. I mean, obviously, I have credibility. Facebook reached out to me 2 years ago and gave me the blue check mark on my personal profile because they consider me a media personality and an influencer. Um, I had Amazon reach out to me and make me an Amazon influencer, and then they offered me the Amazon Influencer Live program, and all because I just said I'm going to do a show and interview people and listen to their stories and talk to them, just like you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first year and a half, I know for the first year, I did not miss a day Monday through Friday. I did not miss a day Monday through Friday. I did it every single day, Monday through Friday. And people are like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? I'm like, I just did it. What do you mean, oh my gosh, how did you do that? I just did it. I got rid of all my excuses and I just did it. And if you don't take massive action on something in your life, you're always going to live a mediocre life.
Mm-hmm. That's commitment, Ken. I know we've talked about this, and
Yeah.
you said doing it Monday to Friday, it's real commitment, and you get the results that you put in, right? And you've told me that before too. If you do it a couple times a week, you can expect
It
the
comes
results
down,
within a
it
day.
comes down to this. This is what it comes down to. Ready? How
Right.
bad do you want it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How bad do you want it? If you really, really want it, and I'm not talking about wanting success at the expense of others. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about wanting success for the success of others
Mm.
and being extremely passionate about what you're doing. How bad do you want it? I've met many people. I've been in website development and I've worked on people like Grant Cardone's website and many other big incredible names. Just did glenmoreshower.com. My wife is an unbelievable designer and project manager, and we've done some massive projects. And I see people that don't want to invest in their business because they are fearful of letting go of that money to invest in a professional website. So they try to half, I won't use that word, but they try to cut every corner they can. And again, I totally understand that. There's been many times in my life where I had to cut corners. But if you don't have to cut corners and you can invest in your business, you should invest in your
Mhm.
business. I've invested in coaches. I don't even know how much money on coaches and programs and it to make myself better, to make
Mhm.
my business better, to get myself out there more. And people just, there's a lot of people that I don't know, they get stuck in that mentality. You've got to go from, at some point, you've got to go from the position of being an entrepreneur to being a CEO. And they
Mhm.
are completely different roles. And I had to make that shift a long time ago. And it was hard. It's a hard transition to go from entrepreneur of I'm just going to grind it out, grind it out, grind it out, grind it out and make it work to I'm now CEO and I'm learning how to delegate and manage a team and projects and things, that CEOs do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and funding and all of the other stuff that comes with being a CEO. So, um, yeah, so that's, I don't know. Did I answer your question? I feel like I just went on
No,
a
no, you did. Yeah.
rant.
And you and Jill make such a great team. I love how she came up with a perfect name for your show.
She
Uh,
did.
yeah. And I've seen some of the sites that you've created, and you both are such great partners in the business space as well. So,
I
who do
appreciate
we
that.
have coming up? Give us, I don't know if you can, some of the.
I honestly, without looking at the calendar, I don't know. But here, there's something else that I did a couple years ago because I had people reaching out to me wanting to be on my show. And it's hard for me to say no, but there
Mhm.
are people I don't want on my show at all. Like I've looked at their stuff and I don't want to promote them, quite frankly. I
Mhm.
want to promote people that I want to promote that I think are good people and can help other people. That and one of the things that I've noticed is um people that reach out and ask to be on my show, I feel like they're being very kind of self-centered. Like I don't know
Mm.
if that makes any sense.
No,
So
it
when
does.
people ask to be on my show, the answer is 100% of the time no, unless it's somebody like Grant Cardone or which Grant would never even ask. He wouldn't ask. He'd have his agent reach out to me and say, "Hey, Grant needs to be on your show," or which I get a lot of agents now reaching out to me. My podcast is in the top 10% in the world now, and it's unreal. Like I'm blown away that it's grown into what it's grown into, and it's been, I say I put effort into it, but I haven't put a lot of effort into, running ads for it to get followers and all. I don't do all that. I've let it grow organically, and I put out
Mhm.
a lot of content, and I get a lot of people on. But well, without seeing my calendar, I couldn't tell you who's coming up, but I always have rock stars on the show,
You
like
do. You do.
massive rock stars. Not always. Some of them, you know,
But
some of
you're
my
the.
interviews don't make it to the podcast networks. I'll just say
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Not many, but some. Yeah.
But a lot of them that you have are really good conversations, and really, people can get so much just nuggets from that listening to the folks you bring on, because you bring on some amazing people on your show.
It's been
Um,
incredible. It's unbelievable.
yeah, yeah. Other than, I know how bad you want it is the main thing, and what are you doing to that? What are some of the tips that you would give to somebody who wants to grow their show or their podcast?
Um, well, join the Grow Live Academy.
Yeah.
Like that's my I have an online academy called Grow Live Academy, where I teach this stuff, and we have a weekly mastermind meeting. And like tonight, I actually have this guy coming on to the Grow Live Academy tonight to teach, and he has a $70 million agency, so he knows a couple of things. And he's coming on to teach and give a talk and Q&A and talk with everybody in the mastermind. And like, again, invest in yourself. I only charge $1,000 a year for that, $997 a year. And I charge $1,000 an hour for coaching one-on-one. And you get into the Grow Live Academy, it's $997 for the whole year, and you get 52 weeks or 50-ish weeks, because there's always, it ends up being 2 or 3 weeks we have to take off. But I mean, there is no reason in the world why people shouldn't be investing in themselves. There's no
Hmm.
reason in the world. But if you want to grow your show and your podcast, man, you got to invest in it. That's all I can say. You have to invest real hard money eventually. You got to put cash into your business. And I've done it. I've taken Brian Tracy on my YouTube channel after I interviewed him. And this is a guy with millions and millions of followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after I got done interviewing him, I noticed that on YouTube it had by the end of the day it was at 69 views, and I was like, "What the heck? This is Brian Tracy. What's wrong with you people? Why are you not?" And it wasn't them, it was me. I hadn't promoted it out on YouTube, so I spent a couple $100 or so of my own money, ran a YouTube ad promoting Brian Tracy's interview out, and got it to 30,000 views in 1 week.
Wow.
You gotta spend the money. You gotta invest in yourself. I've invested in other podcasts and episodes on YouTube ads and Facebook ads, pushing more viewers to it. Not because I was suddenly going to make more money. I won't. I will not. I'm looking at this as a long-term thing. First, I love to interview people and hear their stories.
Mm-hmm.
Second, I see it as long term. It's going to pay off. I can't even tell you how many people I've had on my show who now do business with me in
Mm.
some capacity. It just works. Grant Cardone taught me years and years ago, you got to learn how to flow power to power. So
Mm.
if there's somebody that's in a higher position in life that you look up to, not that anybody's better than anyone else, that's not what I'm saying. Just if there's somebody like Grant who's a billionaire, Tony Robbins who's a billionaire, all these people, if you look up to them and you're like, I want to be where they are, how did they get there? Well, if you want to get there, you gotta do what they did to get there.
Mm.
You got to take similar actions, right? You got to
Yeah.
you got to flow power to that person to help them get what they want out of life.
Great. Yeah. Great nugget there to flow power to power. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
Yes.
awesome, Ken. Yeah. One of the things I like to talk about on our show is because life is a journey just like travel. So I love to bring a little bit of travel nuggets into this.
Yeah.
What are a couple of places that you've loved visiting? Um, share some things about why you like that place.
I haven't been out of the United States much. But I've been throughout the Caribbean.
Hmm.
I actually years ago almost bought a house in St. Martin.
Beautiful.
Um, I was on a cruise, a 10-day cruise, Carnival cruise, actually. And we stopped at the island of St. Martin. And I know there's a French and Dutch side. I forget
Hmm.
which side do most of the ships stop on? The Dutch?
That's right. Yeah. Hmm.
Dutch. Um, and I went to this presentation of this guy selling timeshare houses. And I mean, I came so close to buying one. I'm so glad I didn't. But it was by far my favorite place I've ever been. It was so gorgeous. The water in the Caribbean is just amazing. It's warm. It's that beautiful aqua blue, and a lot of places you
Yeah.
can see to the bottom. It's crazy. Um, but there, and then my family and I go to Destin, Florida, just about every year, and rent a lady's condo over there. Um,
Hmm.
the white sand beaches of the upper peninsula of Florida, that
Hmm.
it's just so beautiful up there. It's so beautiful up there. So, you know, yeah, I mean, those are really I mean, I've been all over. I lived in Seattle. I've lived in Atlanta, Georgia. I've lived all over the United States. So I have a lot of favorite places. One of my favorite places in the US is the Grand Canyon. That's
Hmm. Yeah,
like,
those parks take
and
your breath
so
away.
many people haven't been there, which is
Yeah.
just mind blowing. It's like right there. It's right down the street from you, wherever you
Hmm.
are. It's right here. It's like, you can be there in a day or less. Just get on a plane and fly to Vegas, rent a car, and drive 2.5 hours, and you are literally at the Grand Canyon.
Hmm. Yeah, there's so many beautiful places, especially all the national parks. A couple of actually over Memorial Day weekend, we went to Utah. We went to a couple of parks over there, and the
Good.
first time I visited Bryce and Zion, I was
Oh,
amazed at the beauty that's just within our reach, right?
it's
So
unbelievable, isn't it?
it
It
is. It's so pretty.
Utah is one of our favorite states,
Hmm.
and we have been all over Utah, like literally. Bryce, is it Bryce or Bryce
Bryce and Zion, yeah.
Bryce Canyon or something like
Hmm.
that?
Yeah.
Um, all over. I don't remember all the names. I'm horrible at that, but oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Oh,
It is. It is.
so
And
beautiful.
each of those parks in Utah have are so unique. One is not like the other, and
It's true.
yeah, and that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
So I also got to ask you, what is one place that you would like to visit, and why?
My daughter wants us to all go to Hawaii this summer. And
Mm,
I have a friend that owns a second largest house on the island of, is it Lanai? Is that one of the islands? Lanai,
yeah.
or
In Maui or
I
in
don't know.
Lanai? Yeah, just there is an island there. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So we have a place to go and hang out, and I don't know. I love the thought of visiting Hawaii. We've never been to Hawaii. Um, it's that airplane ride over the ocean terrifies me.
Oh, you'll be fine, Ken. You'll be
I
fine.
know, I know. It's like, hey, what if the pilot can't find that little dot out there in the middle of the ocean? I'm kidding, but so there's all kinds of places in Europe and all kinds of places that I'd love to see, and eventually I will.
Hmm.
I'm working on. I mean, I told you I started over rebuilding my business back in 2018, and I'm still working every day at it. And now I speak from stages. I travel all over the U.S. and I do amazing things. I've been very, very blessed. But
Mm, that's awesome.
I'm not where I want to be yet.
You got a lot more to go, Ken. There's lots that we you can your brilliance and you can share with the world. So
Thank you.
you
Thank
can
you.
do that. Yeah. So before we wrap it up, Ken, we still have how people can get in touch with you. But just a couple of wrap up thoughts for our viewers, and we know that they can get in touch with you. But what would you like to share? That's something that I haven't asked you or that I've touched on.
I mean, I think, first off, go to kensbizcard.com, fill out the form on there to shoot me a text. You'll get a free copy of my ebook if you do that. And then we'll be in communication with each other. It's like literally you're in my CRM at that point and we can talk. Um, but and we can talk via text messages if you put your cell phone in. But the thing that I want people to realize more than anything is it breaks my heart that 99 plus percent of the entire world will live an entire life and they'll go to their graves with their music still inside.
Mm,
And that breaks my heart. I think that, excuse me, I think that people need to realize that anything is possible. Anything is possible. We're all capable of anything. These rich people you see out here on Instagram and all over the place that, you know, first off, some of them aren't rich. They just pretend that they are. Second, the people become extremely wealthy because they believe they can. And if you have a belief that's preventing you, that's stopping you, if there's a block that you've unconsciously created in your life and you can't figure out what that is, then invest in yourself, hire a coach, join a course, get around the right people,
hmm.
because there are people in this life who actually have figured it out. They have. They've figured it out. Doesn't mean that they don't have bumps and bruises, and that they don't have challenges. It doesn't mean that they don't have doubts. There are people who have
Mhm.
doubts, but they have figured it out.
Yeah. And they can help. Yeah.
They can help.
Thank you so much, Ken. Yeah, they can. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Ken. So everyone go to kensbiscard.com, check it out, go sign up, you go register and get that going. And check out his Grow Life Academy and his Breakthrough Worlds. Watch his shows. You'll be amazed at the conversations and the nuggets that you can pick up with all the conversations that he has.
Thank you, Shanta.
Thanks, Ken. So bye everyone till next time, and please go ahead and share, comment, and share this with your friends and people you know. Until next time, that's bye for us from now.